Now, a Nigerian Air Force Mi-171 helicopter on a casualty evacuation mission crashed on Monday at about 1 p.m. near Chukuba village in Niger State, or rather in Niger State. Now, a statement by the spokesperson of the Nigerian Air Force, Edward Gapwet, said the aircraft had departed Zungeru Primary School en route to Kaduna, but was later discovered to have crashed near Chukuba village in Shiroro local government area of Niger State. He said efforts were ongoing to rescue the current passengers on board the helicopter, while preliminary investigations have commenced to determine the probable cause of the crash. Now, joining us virtually are Charles Ideho and Nelson Ekujimi. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to VOP this morning. Good morning. Nelson, is that you? Good morning. Unfortunately,
we do have we have a problem with the audio in the studio, but anyway, we'll try to continue the conversation, and we hope that our engineers will fix that. Good morning, Nelson.
All right, so apparently, situations like this is not the first time it has happened. Unfortunately, this is not the first time it has happened. But then we will say that it is becoming a recurrent situation in this part of the world where we have recurrent helicopter crashes. So far, would you say that the Air Force did not do what they call due diligence before commencing most of these exercises? I'm asking you, Nelson, if you can hear me.
I won't want to run with that submission of yours.
Okay.
Because accident can happen at any time, even when you have, done all the necessary things to do. Something can just go wrong without why it is called an accident. But be that, this is one accident that, once again, the authorities to investigate the cause of this accident to prevent a reoccurrence. But to want to say that it's becoming a recurring decimal, I beg to disagree. That is not true. Accidents do occur even at home, in the office, in your workplace, so saying that the accident is becoming too often, no. What we should do at any point in time, since these things are managed by human beings, and human beings are not perfect, even if it's a machine can just stop functioning, even when it is in of conditions. So we should be calling on the authorities to investigate this accident and determine the cause so as to prevent a reoccurrence.
All right, we also have Charles Ideho joining us virtually as well. Good morning to you, Charles.
Good morning. Thanks again. I'm happy to be here.
All right, good to have you, Charles. Now, Charles, yes, Nelson did say something. Is that accidents do happen. Yes, we know. Accidents happen. But we seem to be having recurrent news of accidents of the Nigeria Air Force jets. What do you make of this, really? Should we be troubled?
Okay, well, first of all, let me also greet Nelson. But I think Nelson just attempted to just push it aside with a wave of the hand. It's more than this. I think he made allusion to the fact that accidents will happen. I agree. But this is one accident that is more than even the accident is that it will happen in our homes. They are not the same thing at all. They are continents apart in terms of when you look at a military jet being brought allegedly so by insurgents, it's not the everyday accident you do have. I understand that there is also sometimes there could be human error that could make such accident happen. The blame I'm going to be putting on at the doorstep of the most especially the Air Force is that what level of intent before they asked that that pilot to take the helicopter. Was there any connaissance on it? Was there anything they did in order to ensure that that flight was going to be safe? That is their job. So, but when you know that it's a troubled area, and you know that things have been happening regarding the activities of a criminal area, they ought to have a high level of intelligence. Carried out before the pilots will embark on that. I mean, even there are people on ground in Zungeru, I think Shiro local government. I can't recall there's an association of youths over there who are by their grandfather's grave that helicopter was by insurgent. They even alleged that after that they and killed the pilot. Of course, the Air Force is saying they want to do an investigation and all that. So we hope they carry out a thorough investigation, and that that investigation indeed should give us a leeway into what actually happened, if indeed it was done by the activities of the insurgents, or it's a human error, just like Nancy attempted to paint it.
All right. Nelson, I'm going to throw this question at you, and it's based on your initial response before Mr. Charles Ideho, responded as well. It's concerning the fact that you said we shouldn't attribute this particular situation to a recurring decimal. You said that accidents can happen at any time, which of course I do agree with you. But why I'm coming back to this question is the fact that in 2021, Atahiru, the former chief of army staff, also died through this kind of situation, a helicopter crash, and it was quite a disturbing scenario. Don't you think that there needs to be monitoring policies that needs to be in place when it comes to the national aircraft or helicopters meant for such military exercises? Because this is almost like the third time we're experiencing something like this. I need your objective response to that.
Well, I've always given you an objective response. I wonder what you mean by you need my objective response to that. Charles Ideo has spoken about the aircraft being brought down. I hope he's speaking from the position of the investigation he has carried out, in that environment, that is in line with global best practices. Because he mentioned allegedly. And when you are still, it means you have not, come out with your fact. You are still investigating, or you are still suspecting. So I want to believe that, for somebody to lay the blame anywhere, you want to have all the facts at your table. But talking about the rate of the accident, yes, the fact that the former chief of army staff died, and we must also recollect that the military has been involved in so many activities areas with regards to insurgency or training or what have you. So the fact that you are involved in an activity on a law makes you susceptible to all sorts of accidents if it's going to happen. But again, we must recollect that even though it's an Air Force jet, before taking off into the air, I'm sure the necessary checks must, because this has to do with taking into space what you can, if anything goes wrong, you cannot determine the outcome. The outcome will definitely, is likely by a higher percentage to be calamity. So I'm sure the Nigerian Air Force, being a national institution and being guided by the rules of aviation, don't forget the fact that it's a Nigerian Air Force doesn't mean that the Nigerian Air Force will just take it to the air. They are that are put in place to ensure that that jet is in the best of conditions to fly. So I'm not sure, I don't have the facts, but like I said earlier on, I want to wait and expect that an investigation will be carried for us to know whether the aircraft had a mechanical problem. Maybe it was shot down by insurgents. As I speak, I will not run with what somebody has said, that I'm a villager, it was on the grave of my mother or my father, that it was insurgents. That is not how to verify information in this age, and based on what somebody has said. You verify information by doing a thorough investigation. So for me, I want to believe strongly that the Air Force carried out the necessary check the aircraft into the air. But if investigation prove otherwise, then those responsible for abdicating their duty, it should be brought to book, because it's about human life, is about a national asset. It's about resources that has been plundered with this crash. If really it's found out that at the end of investigation reveals that XY is the cause, and this is what X was supposed to do, but didn't do it. He went and did well. You know where to lay the blame, but for now, I won't run with speculation.
All right, Nelson.
Can I respond to Nelson?
All right, go ahead.
Nelson, by your response, it does seem that you must have missed my point by half. What I said is that I have no doubt that the Air Force is well trained. I have no doubt that I've carried out routine check, mechanically and technically speaking. But I didn't say something about the fact that they must not, they didn't do all this routine check. What I said is that if they may have carried out routine check, as you alluded to, I have no problem with that. But I'm saying first that how about, did they carry out any intelligence? Please underline that.
All right, Charles.
Check whether the aircraft was safe to fly on the airspace. I mean, around that vicinity.
All right, Charles. Thank you very much, Charles, for your response there. Thank you, Charles. Let me come back to Nelson now. Nelson, you said something. So I want to take you up on that. Now, yes, investigations are, investigations need to be undertaken. Now, how long do these investigations take?
Well, I'm not an investigation expert, and I know very well that there are agencies of states saddled with that responsibility, as well as
reason I'm asking, the reason I'm asking is the reason I need you to respond to that as well. All right. Now, the reason I'm asking is in all the air crashes that we have seen, even in the recent time, how many have Nigerians been told as to the cause of the crashes? How many actually?
Well, I have not kept tab on that, but I know very well that the crashes that have occurred, investigations have been carried out, and I want to believe that the investigation has been concluded and the report has been submitted to the appropriate authorities. Whether that report, that findings of the investigative findings has been made public, that is another, and if we want to know, I believe there are channels for us to access such information if it's within our purview. But being that as it may, you ask me how long will it take? That is not my responsibility, and I don't work in the aviation industry or the investigative committee, in the committees. Don't forget, when crashes like this happen, even though it happens locally, even the International Aviation Agency are also involved in such investigation in order a balanced and objective outcome. An agency like ACAO is always involved in investigation of air crashes wherever it occurs anywhere in the world, whether private jets, commercial flights, or even military aircraft. The International Civil Aviation Agency, which is ICAO, also gets involved in investigating such, aspects.
All right, then. Thank you.
Charles, this next question is it is 10 days, it is 20 days, it is 1 month. I don't have that, I don't have that knowledge.
All right, thank you very much, Nelson. Thank you for that. Now, we do know that when the crash happened in Lagos, there was a crash that happened in Lagos not too long ago, I think some weeks back, and the Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau did say they were looking at it, and they also did say that such investigations would take about a year. Reason I asked you that question was, I felt as an analyst, you would have an idea of these things. I know you don't work in that department, but as an analyst, I expected that you have an idea. But thank you very much for your response, Charles. Go ahead.
Well, it's Nelson.
No, Nelson, I beg your pardon. Nelson.
Charles, hello, are you with us? Hello, Charles, are you still with us? Okay, Nelson, then I think I'll throw this question at you. We're not getting a response from Charles. So apparently there were persons that needed to be evacuated. Now the helicopter crashed. What's going to happen? How soon with those that emergency aircraft or helicopter was sent to go evacuate? How soon will, an alternative be put together to go evacuate those people? These are safety reasons. These are part of the job. This is part of the job. This is the mechanism. So how soon do you think that those that are meant to be evacuated will be evacuated, despite the incident that has happened?
Hello?
I can hear you. Nelson, did you hear what I asked you?
I didn't get you. The
Okay.
audio was off there. Can you come again? Repeat.
All right. I said, you recall that the particular crash happened because they were going to evacuate, some individuals at Shirero. Now that that particular air crash occurred, what happens to those that were meant to evacuate? What happens to them?
Well, I want to believe that when an institution of state like is going on such mission, there are always alternative means if the first point of evacuation goes wrong or there's any problem with it. So I want to believe that the essence of that journey would have been carried out through another medium. But as we speak, you know very well that I don't work in the Nigerian Air Force, that I'm a civilian. I don't have that information. It is for us, as what we are doing right now, to ask that what happens to those that were meant to be evacuated. Have they been taken away from that environment to a safe custody where they can be easily evacuated, or they are still in that situation they were before the plane that was supposed to come and ferry them crashed? That is a question we should throw to the authorities as far as I'm concerned.
All right, Charles, are you back with us? Okay, Nelson, I will still ask you this question. So usually when incidents happens, especially either jets or airplane, there are safety mechanisms or, emergency safety mechanisms that are deployed, to either save one or two individuals in such a critical circumstance. What happened? Why wasn't that safety measure applied? Especially for the fact that that's a jet. So don't you think that there is more, a couple of persons will think there is more to this than, the jet just crashing on its own? There are safety mechanisms. Why wasn't that applied? Or was that actually not working as well? I know it's not within your purview to know that, but these are the questions that any person who is familiar with incidents like that would ask.
Yes, these are questions you should ask, but these are mere speculations. The veracity of what could have caused that crash will be determined by the outcome of the. It is commonsensical that the crash has happened, and right now, what experts do, even experts cannot just assume. Investigations have to be carried out. The jet box has to be examined to find out what happened to it. And that is what is done all over the world. You don't just sit down in the confines of your home and say because you're an expert, you start, assuming the cause of an incident. It is not done like that anyway. The scene has to be visited, samples of the environment have to be taken, the parts of the aircraft have to be fixed. We have seen planes or jets crash into the ocean. And before any report is in the crash, the plane wreckage has to be, evacuated to determine. So it is not about whether I'm an expert in aviation technology or not. It's about common sense. Okay, an accident has happened. You can't say because you're an expert, you sit down in your office and you want to profile, this could have been the reason. It doesn't run that way. Anything could have gone wrong. It is for the authorities to put in place the necessary investigative mechanism and decipher what could have caused this. Was it a technical error? Was it that the pilot slept off? Was it that the plane was shut down? We don't know now. We're in the era of speculation. I want to run with that. I want to, as a scientist, as a realist, I want to wait for the investigators to come out and say, this, after concluding our investigation, this crash was due to X, Y, Z, and not, somebody just assuming or speculating.
All right. Do we have Charles back in? Hello, Charles. Okay, so we don't have Charles yet. So I'll stay with you on this one, Nelson. Yes, we don't have the specifics just yet. We're still waiting for the investigation to be carried out and reports given. Whether or not Nigerians will have access to that report, that's a different thing entirely. But we also know that we need that to forestall a reoccurrence of such. Now, this is the question now is this. How does this affect the fight against terror? Nelson, seeing that this crash and some others have happened, whether or not we have the details, whether or not the plane was shot down or whether or not it crashed due to a mechanical error, how does it affect the fight against terror?
Oh, thank you very much. Mechanic-wise or implement-wise, the tools to fight terrorism will be depleted. But I have no doubt in my mind that the result of the military, which is to the safety of Nigeria and Nigerians, it will not be any way be deterred by this accident. I believe strongly that the Nigerian military, as a first-class, security institution, will, be re-energized by, the authorities to remain focused. But the truth of the matter is that right now, one of the tools for executing that, mandate has been depleted. That is a fact. But the men to execute this fight, I believe that based on their training, they are not in any way, demotivated by what has happened.
You think so?
For me, that is just, what I want to believe.
Okay, now that was exactly where I was going to. The morale of the soldiers and the morale of the bandits. Do you think the soldiers are not demotivated, seeing their tools of trade being depleted? And then do you think the bandits are not, getting excited, saying that, okay, they seem to be having an upper hand at some point?
When you go into a battle is a two-way traffic. You win some, you lose some. But the most important thing is that, don't forget, the Nigerian military, unlike the bandits, the training the Nigerian military has, the bandits don't have them. The tools the Nigerian military has, the bandits don't have them. The bandits cannot operate in the air. They can only operate on land. And the Nigerian military has been trained in all facets of warfare. These are trainings that are not available to bandits. Somebody just get some group of persons and say, oh, this is what they don't do any, they don't have the level of sophistication and intelligence that the military has based on resources. But the bandits, because of this, could feel, oh, we have had a victory. But don't forget, over the years, we have seen the Nigerian military recorded high level of successes, a lot of, casualties on the bandit side. So that we also, on the side of the military, will have some casualty is not out of place in a warfare or in any battle or in any human engagement. As we speak this morning, I'm sure there are days you come to work when you want to start your car refuses, to respond. And there are also days when your car tire gets spoiled on the road or the car breaks down on the road. But that does not in any way debar you to recognize that I have a job to do. I've been employed to do a job. And that is the mindset I believe the military also has, that look, we have been recruited, to defend the territorial integrity of Nigeria, and our responsibility is solely in that regard. Whatever is standing on our way, so long as the materials to do this job are provided, we'll continue to do it no matter the setback we'll suffer, because this is a setback, but I believe it will not in any way demotivate or demoralize the military based on the trainings they've had. The military is not just a ragtag, criminals like the bandits or terrorists. These are people who have, both psychological and physical training to carry out this responsibility. So I don't want to believe at all that the military will be demotivated and that the morale of the bandits will be. Yeah, the bandits could celebrate if the fact proves that aircraft was shot down. But right now we don't even have that information. We are just talking in the realm of speculation. So I want to believe that the loss of these jets will not demotivate the military.
All right, thank you so much, Nelson. I do hope you will stay with us for the next segment of the conversation on VOP this morning.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so up next on VOP this morning, the acting CBN governor set to take new measures to stabilize the naira against the dollar. We'll have details of that in a moment.